Happy Sunday, everybody. I'm KHOU 11 meteorologist Pat Cavlin here with a look at your tropical update. Again, we do these every single night here through the peak of hurricane season at 8 p.m. just to keep you in the loop with what's going on. And lately, things have been really quiet in the Atlantic, but things are starting to come a little more active. That being said, if nothing's making its way towards the United States, then, the Atlantic can be as active as it wants. But overall, again, it's whether or not we're going to see a threat here. And right now, that doesn't look like the case. But here's what the board looks like at the moment. And again, it's definitely a little more crowded than it was a few days ago. So Gabrielle is now a hurricane as of this afternoon. That's update number 1. Update number 2 is that the wave we were tracking yesterday is now up to a 60% chance of development over the next 7 days. And update number 3 is that we've got another tropical wave to watch here. This is actually even farther to the west, closer to the Caribbean and the United States than the other wave. But the probability for development is about half that, only at 30%, at least for the time being. Something worth pointing out, though, is that both of these waves, notice the areas for potential development, how they curve to the north. None of them go straight to the west into the Caribbean or into the Gulf. They all take that hook and that turn up to the north. So that's important. That's a theme that we've been seeing a lot so far this season, and one that we hope to continue to see as we go through the rest of what's left in this hurricane season. All right, let's start with Gabrielle first. Wind sustained at 75 miles per hour. So it's still a weak Category 1 hurricane. It's moving north-northwest now at about 10 miles per hour. We do expect this storm to eventually take a straight turn towards the north. It's going to pass just to the east of Bermuda as a Category 2 hurricane potentially tomorrow afternoon, and then it takes a hard turn to the east and goes out towards the North Atlantic as we get towards the middle and the end of the upcoming week. Let's talk about that other wave. Okay, so we've got Gabrielle, already talked about that. Wave number 1 is the one that has the 60% chance odds of developing here as we get towards the end of the week and next weekend. Right now, we don't expect any development in the near term for the same reasons that I talked about yesterday. There's a lot of Saharan dust in this part of the Atlantic, and that's really putting a lid on any potential development. But watch what happens here. As we go through the upcoming week, the dust concentration really starts to diminish, and all of a sudden, that wave gets into a much more favorable environment for development. So there is the potential that we could see a storm develop as early as Thursday or Friday with this wave that we're watching right now in the Atlantic. The good news, though, like we saw with the Hurricane Center's highlighted area, it does take that track to the north, pretty much following almost an identical track to what Gabrielle is taking, going towards Bermuda, likely passing just to the east of Bermuda, and then probably going back out to sea. So the models have a really good handle on what's happening right now. I know it's kind of hard to see a screen within a screen, but what we've got plotted here in red is the American model, in black is the European model. The reason why you can't really differentiate the two is because they're on top of each other in this, in this map. And that means that the models are in perfect agreement of what's happening right now. So that's a good starting point. So the models agree that Gabrielle will continue to curve out to sea and go out towards the north and east over the next few days. Watch what happens, though. As we get towards the end of the week and the weekend, now they're starting to pick up on the potential for some storms in the Atlantic. So the European model in black has our 60% chance area to watch, that wave down here to the south of Bermuda. The American model actually picks up on some disturbed activity here in the Caribbean, and I believe that that is the first wave, the one with 30% odds for developing, that could maybe come out of the Caribbean, or at least just north of the Caribbean, and then kind of work its way up the East Coast. I'm a little more inclined to believe the European model here over the American model, but the bottom line is that both of our computer models here, the main large-scale computer models, are showing some sort of development here down the road as we get towards the end of the week and the weekend. So this will be something for the East Coast to watch, but notice the Gulf, dead quiet, nothing. Nothing for us here over at least the next 7 to 10 days. So, of course, we are still in the peak of hurricane season. It is September 21st. We are typically in the peak of the season from mid-August through mid-October, so we've got about another month to go before things climatologically or historically speaking should start to wind down. Of course, though, we have seen in the past a lot of seasons that are backloaded. That is, they're busier towards the second half, even after we get out of the peak of the season. So stay on top of things. Stay with us here. Again, we do these updates every night at 8 p.m. here on KHOU 11 Plus. And of course, we have an update coming up for you tonight on the KHOU 11 News at 10 o'clock. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you then.